spent your life in the mountains. What is it about the mountains that really appeals to your true nature? What is it?
Well, if you stand on top of a mountain and you look down at the world below, you feel it belongs to you in a way. And you can, it perhaps gives you a perspective on life and on human nature and on on living, on all the things we write about. But I know, I quite understand writers who prefer to live in cities. There's so much they can write about there.
Yeah. And are you, of course, nowadays, even if you're in the mountains, you can be very connected with the internet and Facebook and Twitter and everything. What's your connectedness? What's your connectivity?
My connectivity is the wind, actually, that tries to blow my roof off from time to time.
So your windows are actual windows?
Yes, they are. And I've remained, I'm afraid, a 19th century person, so I don't depend on any kind of technology. Except maybe what I do find useful is a photocopying machine.
Okay.
Because in the old days you had to put some carbon paper into your typewriter, and as a result I lost many stories.
How many people here have never used carbon paper? There is a generation here which is, they don't know what is carbon paper. I mean, most of us have used carbon paper, but I know.
Started out probably.
Google it. There is something called carbon paper. You will figure out. But so, do you have the internet at home?
The kids have internet.
Okay. Do you never use it?
No.
Do you use email? How do you send your manuscripts? How do you?
I write by hand. I then send my handwritten manuscript to my publisher, who very kindly accepts it as it is, sends me a printout, which is full of mistakes, and that I have to correct. And so I write by hand. I write my letters by hand. I write my books by hand. At one time I used to use a typewriter, but I find it uncomfortable now. And since I like writing in bed or sitting on a hillside or in just anywhere, it's useful to have just a pen and a notebook with me.
Do you have a laptop?
What's a laptop?
Okay. Is it that?
I used to think it had something to do with sitting on a lap, actually. But
that can be. Do you have an iPad?
What's an iPad?
Okay. Do you have a phone? Do you have a cell phone? You do.
Everyone in the house has a cell phone except me. So I use other people's cell phones.
So for people out here really get very uncomfortable for half an hour if the network goes or the battery goes. Here's somebody who has lived an entire life and been very famous worldwide without ever using these things. Meanwhile, I'm itching to see on Twitter what's going on with the elections. So clearly I have a lot to learn from you. I want to ask you something else which is fun. I was seeing a movie and I saw a bishop and I thought the bishop looks like you. I figured out it was you. He was in Sat Khoon Maaf doing the bishop's role.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
And I was so bad doing it that nobody's after that offered me a role in any film.
Oh, come on. I'm sure. We always need that one. Actually now you don't fit that because we always had that one white guy who was the evil guy in movies. And you don't look evil at all. So that's the issue, So now we'll have to, but I'm sure if you want, but did you enjoy it? How did that happen? How was it being on set and cut and action and how did it all, did you have to do it many times?
Yeah, no, there were two scenes. There was one in a pub, I think, which was done in Pondicherry with Priyanka Chopra, who was the star of the film. And I had to give her a fatherly peck on the cheek,
Did you have many retakes for that?
Well, the first time I'm afraid I knocked her glasses off. But she was very sporting about it, being a very nice person. And so I had to do it again. It got better the second time. And after about 7 retakes, the director, Vishal Bhardwaj, said, Ruskin, I think you're doing this deliberately. So that was that. It was a fun experience, but I don't envy actors and film stars. They have to work very hard from what I've seen of it.
Yeah. And so that's Sat Khun Maaf was based on, I mean, not just of his cameo, but also the film was based on your story.
A short story.
And of course, Blue Umbrella, Vishal's made it earlier. There is, of course, you started writing about kids, write about mountains. I can understand your own childhood. You would live in the mountains. There's a lot of fascination with the paranormal.
Oh, right.
Ghosts.
The thing, that's my trick. You see, sometimes I've been writing for so many years. Sometimes I run out of ideas or run out of people, and then I write a ghost story. I cook up a ghost or two.
But don't you feel like some kids are getting scared by what you're writing?
They don't get scared. Kids today, I get scared watching the films that we get on television. Aliens and monsters and people from the dead, and kids are watching them without totally unfazed. And I'm sitting there getting all worked up.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's a different world.
Sorry, I was just going to add, all your ghost stories have an element of humor in it, right?
That's
They're
true.
like a very
My ghosts are fairly harmless and friendly and helpful.
they're friendly and they have problems and they're like confused about life. And
They're just like us. They are us, in fact.
what keeps you going now? What's life like now? And when you look back, do you think you said, use the word contentment. Do you feel content? Do you feel you could have done more? Do you feel the literary community has been fair to you, more than fair to you, less than fair to you? What are your genuine feelings now?
Well, you see, when I really, back in those early years, set out to be a writer, and after some time I realized, look, Bond, you're not going to be a great writer. Forget about fame and fortune and all that. But since I was so fond of writing and committed to the written word and I loved writing, I thought if I can just make a living from doing this thing that I love so much, that in itself will be an achievement and that will make me happy. And that's what happened. Just the fact that I could survive in India when in those years, it wasn't easy as a freelancer, actually making a living. The fact that I did it when nobody else was doing it, and it was very difficult for others to do it, that gave me so much satisfaction. And over the years, it's got better. Times have changed, and these are better times for writers, better times for publishers, better times for readers.
What is it you love about writing so much?
I like words. I like good writing. I like a writer with style. I like books, you see. Really, it comes down to a love of books. I think it's just because as a boy I loved books that I wanted to emulate other writers.
Yeah. I know you never have really talked much about politics or even change or commented on society much. You're very content with your stories, your characters. But what do you feel about the world today? What do you like about the way the world is today? And what worries you about the world today?
Well, as you say, I don't have strong political inclinations, but I do follow what's going on. I follow the news. I watch television. I read the newspapers. I know people who have strong political views. So, and that's all interesting. And as for the world today, well, the world has always been a mixed up place. And it's a little more mixed up today than it used to be. But I think human beings being resilient and good at heart, good natured, they will perhaps overcome the false and the frivolous and those who are self-seekers, basically. I think we don't lose hope.
Yeah. I'm running out of time. So since a lot of young people are here, what would be your genuine advice to live a happy and successful life, according to you?
Well, do the things you like doing. Follow always, if a youngster asks me what he should do when he finishes school or she finishes college, is try to take up a career that really appeals to you, because you might later on be very unhappy if you feel you have to follow a trend or take up a career which really you don't enjoy. So look for work that makes you happy and that gives you satisfaction, makes you valuable and useful to others. So that's my advice to younger people. And to older people like myself, as I did yesterday evening, go to the hanging gardens and keep running around. and I saw a lot of old people sitting on benches, and I thought maybe I should be there sitting with them. But and that's what I would do if I was living here in Mumbai. So you mentioned my wanting to live close to nature, and I was saying yesterday that you can be living in a city and still be close to nature. I notice coming to these older parts of Mumbai, lovely old trees, and here, sitting out here in the day, I think the crows have gone to sleep, but yesterday you had to watch out for crows droppings too. So you're never too far from nature wherever you live.
That is true. And today the world is becoming very consumeristic, and a lot of young Indians, and I don't think, of course, they want to be successful, and a lot of success is equated with money. And money has become very, very important. What does money mean to you? And of course, somebody who's done different and somebody who's lived a long life so far, what would you like to tell them about how should they approach money?
Well, money is a good thing. You should make it and you should spend it, I think, and not sit on it. I might have gone through periods of not having much money, but I've always respected it. And I have, over the years, fought with so many publishers because whenever they've maybe shortchanged me or not paid me for my work, then I demand it. So it's not that I say, no, you don't want to pay me, keep it. Wrong. I ask for it. I want it. So I respect money. I don't love it, but I need it. Thank you.
Just to end, and obviously a lot of children give you feedback, and and I know I'm asking a little unfair question because there were thousands of kids giving you feedback, lakhs maybe. What has been some of the memorable one or two incidents of feedback that have come from children and that really touched you?
Yes, that happens. I was not too long ago, a little girl, I think she was 8 or 9, and it was at a school I visited, and a teacher asked her, said, well, what do you think of Mr. Bond as a writer? And she looked me up and down and she thought about it and she said, sir, you're not a bad writer. And I settled for that, not a bad writer. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have time for the no? Okay, I'm to close this, and this lifetime is not over. It's just a lifetime achievement award because you've achieved in one life what others won't be able to achieve in many, many lives. So I think it's just a milestone, another milestone in your journey, and writers keep writing till very, very long time, and I'm sure you will. You're definitely an inspiration to me. I think everybody here has been glued. The city of glamour, the city of Bollywood has been glued to listening to a 79-year-old man because of your words. And it's your award, but we are all feeling like winners today because we are so happy to have you. We are so happy that your advance was 50 pounds and 40 pounds got you the ticket. Because if that wasn't there, we wouldn't have you. And just want to thank you for coming back and being here and writing these books. Thank you.
And thank you, Chetan, for your nice, your excellent, your lovely questions, and for all of you, and for being so kind and responsive. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That indeed was 45 minutes. Not a single eyeball moved a degree, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, one final time, give it up for Mr. Ruskin Bond. And now, just like yesterday, do we get the entire standing ovation? And yes, it is indeed the loudest one. Thank you so much, Chetan sir. Thank you so much, Ruskin sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, yet again a request. Just like yesterday, we have to be a little calm and let Mr. Bond exit calmly. So please do not mob him around the stage. I am not too sure if I'm going to say the surprise is still on, but please do not mob Mr. Bond around the stage. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're planning to leave this carnival now, it's just about the worst decision you would make in your life, because we have some big music concert coming up in some time. So, you know, you've had a lot of literature in the last 3 days. It's about some time to groove a little. Stay back. It's just about some time from now that the concert starts in here. Do not move from here. Thank you.